afternoon and welcome to another episode on Stuart's Classic Bikes and Cars. Well, today we're mapping the port timing of the bike. Before I start tuning this bike and altering the port shapes etc. and adding boost port, putting bigger carburetors on, I need to find out where the starting point is. So what I've done this morning, I've removed the positive stop. I've already checked all the port timings, etc. As you can see here, I've got the exhaust open, the exhaust closed, transfer open, transfer closed, intake open, intake closed. So I know where we are. So, but I'll just show you basically what I've been doing. It's very difficult to really video it so you can see what I'm actually doing. I'm looking inside the ports, and to get the camera and me inside and look at the same time is a little bit difficult. So I'll try and explain it to you with a little bit of detail. Right, this is the inlet port where the carburetor fastens to the bike. So that's the disc valve housing, and this is the carburetor port. This is standard at the moment. It's got a 22mm bore. I just made a drawing last night, and a friend of mine is machining me a new inlet. I'm going to cut this off, this piece here by there, and I'm going to fit a piece and a collar that goes over top of this, over here, over this diameter, and I'm going to bore this out to 28mm with a taper to 23mm, which will match for this. So that's another job in hand, fitting the bigger carburetor, but let's stay with the job in hand. So when you look at this on the other side of the bike, this is where the carburetor is. This is the disc valve housing. Now if I turn it over, this is the disc. This is the inlet port. Now on most bikes nowadays, they don't use disc valve induction. The carburetor's on the back of the cylinder here somewhere, like that, stuck on the back, and they use reed valve induction here on the back of the cylinder. But this is a disc valve arrangement, but actually the disc valve is very good for racing, and I'm going to keep with it. So that's the inlet port, and this is the rotary disc. This disc is bolted to the crankshaft. This is stationary. So what happens in the engine, this disc revolves around. So this is the port. When this disc revolves, it closes the port on the crankshaft, and then it turns, like my hands are doing it, and it opens the port. So what I've been doing today, I've been mapping out the openings and closings of the ports. So I've got my disc valve, the disc on here, and we'll set it to top dead centre. So what we're going to do now, that there is set at top dead centre. What I'm going to do, I'm going to shine a light in the exhaust port here. I'm going to revolve this until the piston goes down. When the piston goes down, when it first cracks the exhaust port open, the light will shine through. And then I'll stop and read it on my degree wheel here. So let's just show you basically what I've been doing. So all I've been doing is holding a light over the exhaust port, and I'm revolving the crankshaft until the piston goes down. And when I can first see daylight, my lamp which is there. The piston's gone down far enough so I can just see my torchlight above the piston. And this corresponds to my disc here, is the exhaust port opens at 97 degrees after top dead centre. And when I turn it around again, the exhaust port closes 92 degrees before top dead centre. Transfer opens 120 degrees after top dead centre. So to do the transfer port is very similar. I just got to look inside though. I've got to look inside the barrel and move the piston down just so I can just see the top of the transfer port, which is there. So the transfers are opening 120 degrees on my timing disc. Transfer open 120 degrees after top dead centre. So 120 degrees after top dead. So I'll move it more, so the piston's gone all the way down to bottom dead centre. It's coming up now to close the transfer port. Oh, that's transfer port closed there. So the transfer port closes at 118 degrees before top dead centre. Now, the intake is on the other side of the bank. Well, like I said to you before, I've checked the intake several times this morning. So when that valve goes to there, that's the port fully closed. So the port is fully closed at 110 degrees after top dead. And it starts to open there. Port starts to open at 43 degrees before top dead centre. So now I've fully mapped the ports. I'm going to work out the port duration, work out the blowdown, and that'll give me a basis for what I want to do with the ports. I am going to add 2 boost ports in the back of the cylinder, here. So I'm going to grind the cylinder and put 2 small grooves in to add 2 boost ports. That's a little job for the future. So I can't be doing any more work on the ports at the moment. What I'm going to do next, I'm going to take the barrel off, take the spacer off. I'm going to measure, this is called the deck height here. So what we're going to do, I'm going to get my vernier, for a little bit more information. I'm going to measure from the deck height. Now this is the deck height, what you call the deck height. Where the cylinder head face is, that's the deck height. So I'm going to measure with my vernier. Now this is thrown on the floor. So I'm going to measure with the vernier the distance to 0 it. I'm going to measure the distance from the deck height to the top of the exhaust port. Maybe better with a smaller vernier. We just happen to have one at my fingertips. See if we have a smaller vernier, very easy. So, turn the vernier on, let's see if it's 0. So all we're going to do is measure from the deck height to the top of the exhaust port. So it's 35.5 millimetres at the top of the port. Now, to make this engine rev better, I'm going to raise the exhaust port roof. I'm going to grind it and bring the exhaust port higher up the barrel, which will increase the revs of the engine. We'll do all this later. So that's another job for later. So what I'm going to do next, tomorrow I'll check this barrel off, check the spacer off. We'll take the engine out of the frame. We'll check the crankshaft out, because the next job with the engine is to put a new, I'm going to put a new big end in, a new little end, and a new conrod for racing. So that's the next job, fitting a new conrod and big end assembly to the engine. So that's all for now. We've got the ports map. I'll let you know what I'm going to do with the ports when I work it all out. That's all for now. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.